What's up, guys? How you doing? This is Chef John. Got a great mashed potato recipe for you today. I think it's going to be a winner with your guests at the holidays or if you're just having family night. Mashed potatoes are pretty simple, but I think it's important to use the right ingredients and the right method to get really awesome mashed potatoes. So the first thing is really important is the potatoes that you use. You want to use like an Idaho, russet, or Baker potato. That's what you're going to see at the store. For this recipe, we got a 5-pound bag, but it's very easy to break the recipe in half, 2.5 pounds. And we're going to get started. All right, so I got everything set up here. We've got a peeler, got our chef's knife, a pot of cold water, potatoes, and then I usually like to have a bowl so I can put the peelings in it. That way it doesn't make much of a mess. So let's get started here. We're just gonna peel down the potatoes. I'll do like a quick peel at first. Watch your fingers. Peelers are just as kind of dangerous as a knife, so always peel away from yourself. And then what's cool about this peeler is it's got a little scoop on the end. And you can just use that, tap it into the bowl, cleans it right off. And then we're going to take the potato and cut it into lengthwise quarters. I really feel this is the best way to cook the potatoes quick and evenly, because that's a major portion of trying to get these potatoes so they're not too wet. The more water and the more mushy the potatoes are when you're done, the less cream and butter you can add to it, which is what makes those potatoes, the mashed potatoes, nice and rich and creamy. So all of our potatoes are peeled and cut, and we put them into the pot with the water. What I like to do is I like to drain out the water and put fresh water in. It kind of cleans all the potatoes, gets some of the excess starch off the potatoes. Just put that in there, and then refill with cold water. Once that's full, we're going to put it onto the stove. So we got the potatoes in the water, in the pot. We got them on the stove. I'm going to put it on high. If you got a gas stove, make sure you put the hood fan on. It'll suck out some of the gas from the flame. I like to put it on high, bring it to a quick boil, and then turn it down to a simmer. If you leave it boiling, it's going to start to break apart the potatoes, and then you're going to have like a watery mash, and then you don't have any room to put any of that good butter and cream in it for all that flavor. So we're going to bring it to a boil. Once it boils, bring it down to a simmer, and then just cook them till they're tender. All right, so the potatoes have come to a rolling boil. We're going to take the cover off, turn it down a little bit. The reason I had the cover on was to bring it to a quick boil, but I want them to cook slightly slower now, so we'll leave the cover off. I turned down the flame a little bit, and we're just going to let them lightly simmer. I'm going to show you where the potatoes are at. They're almost ready to fully break apart, and when they do, that's when you know they're done. It's still a little firm in the center. I can feel it with my tongue. It's not breaking. So a couple more minutes and we'll be ready to drain and start making some mashed. So while the potatoes are finishing up, we've got a pot of 2.5 cups of heavy cream, 8 ounces of unsalted butter, and 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. I'm gonna bring that to a light simmer. The reason we didn't put any salt in the water when we cook the potatoes is I like to have full control over how much salt goes into the dish. This way the recipe is 5 pounds of potatoes, 2.5 cups of cream, 8 ounces of unsalted butter, and 2 tablespoons of salt. And that way it's always the same every time. The reason why I'm bringing it to a simmer, 2 reasons. One, we want to fully dissolve the salt so that it distributes well in the mashed potatoes. And also we're adding a hot liquid to hot mashed potatoes so everything stays hot. Otherwise, if you start adding cold butter, and cold cream, those hot potatoes that you have are now getting colder because of the cream and the butter. All right, so potatoes are just falling apart now. We don't want to cook them anymore, and it's important to get them drained right away so they don't absorb any more water. Just be careful when you're draining the potatoes. Obviously it's hot. Pour it out slow. Pour most of the water out first, and then let your potatoes drop. I'm gonna let them drain for a couple minutes to get any excess water out. This is the final step to making your mashed potatoes. I've got a really cool piece of equipment here that I think is essential for making great mashed potatoes. It's called a food mill. It works like this. We take the potatoes, we'll put a little bit in at a time, and as we turn it, it presses the potatoes through. And what's cool is it breaks it up without mixing it too much or mixing it at all, which is going to help us keep the mashed potatoes from getting waxy or overmixed. So I'll just take a little bit at a time and kind of pop it in there. Don't overload it, because then it'll just kind of pop out the sides. But you turn it, let it push down, and then every once in a while crank it back and then go forward again. All right, so now we're ready to season and add the rest of our ingredients. We have the cream, butter, and salt in a pot on the stove. We didn't bring it to a boil. I just wanted to get it hot, but not too hot. And then I'm just gonna add this to the potatoes. And we'll stir it up. Just kind of fold it in. You don't have to get crazy with stirring it. But since it's a recipe and we're using a specific amount of potatoes, it's easier to be able to scale out and have the correct amount of salt and butter and cream. The cool thing about this recipe is just a base, so you can get creative as you want. You can add different flavorings, garlic, chives, sour cream, bacon, cheddar. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So you can get really creative with that. But just having the base is great. If you are gonna use sour cream, just make sure you substitute sour cream for heavy cream, because if you have both, the potatoes are gonna be a little bit thin. And that goes for any other major creamy liquid kind of items that you do add. But for the most part, if you're just adding a different flavor, you should be good with this base, and then, make your creativity from there. So now the potatoes are ready to either be served hot in your favorite serving dish, or because they're nice and creamy, they do really well being reheated. So you can place it in a shallow pan that you would be baking it in the next day or in a couple days. Put it in that shallow pan, and you're gonna spread it thin, pop it in the fridge to cool it off. Once it's cool, you can cover it, and then when you want to reheat it, just make sure you put foil over it, pop it in the oven, warm it up, stir it every once in a while, and it'll be as if you had made fresh mashed potatoes. It's really a great recipe for reheating as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this mashed potato recipe. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section. And have a great day. Thanks so much.